Alrighty, thank you everybody for tuning in to this, a super special 20th edition of the Konoha Companion. This is Joshua. I'm your Konoha Companion, as always, and on this episode we're going to be covering the entire first arc of Naruto, spanning Season 1, Episode 1 to Season 1, Episode 19, entitled The Land of Waves. And this is our very first arc. You should know by now if you're going to like Naruto or not. There's so much more for it to offer, but this is the basic flavor moving forward. It gets much spicier, but the elements presented throughout this 19-episode arc will be implemented throughout the entire show. This is how they tell the story, right? It's really dialogue-driven. It can take a really long time for stuff to kind of develop, but the climaxes that we're going to hit are epic. The art, the way the animators could just take the gloves off at points and do really neat things is just extraordinary, right? Like the water dragon jutsu and stuff, and Naruto's cloak and stuff. This is all just like the tip of the iceberg, man. Shit gets crazy as we go. So if you like the flavor, know that it's all gonna get ramped way up. This is just like the skeleton within which they're going to operate, right? A lot happened in this arc, from introducing the main characters, developing their characters and skills, to Naruto becoming a ninja, to the formation of Team 7. It's been a journey, right? And so, just to kind of kick things off from the start, we were introduced to the Naruto universe by the third Hokage, Lord Hiruzen Sarutobi, showing us the Nine-Tails attack. And the fourth Hokage sacrificed himself to save the village, and in so doing sealed the nine-tailed fox inside of a baby. That baby turns out to be Naruto. And we get our first real taste of Naruto, who's evidently a habitual prankster, goofball, class clown kind of character, whenever he paints over the Great Stone Faces in Episode 1, and the authorities are having a difficult time dealing with him. We got to meet Iruka Sensei. God bless Iruka Sensei. He's my dude. Love him forever. You should love him too. He's Naruto's original sensei, who has a similar upbringing to Naruto, except he lost his parents during the Nine-Tails attack, right? He's also the one who failed Naruto at the Ninja Academy repeatedly. Mizuki Sensei, an associate of Iruka, tried to sabotage Naruto by having him steal a secret scroll full of forbidden jutsu, because he basically views Naruto as the nine-tailed fox incarnate, and he resents him and he wants him dealt with. And this is the easiest way for him to do it, and it also allows him to get his hands on that scroll and go out there and become a more powerful individual rogue ninja out there on his own. Jutsu, just so we are clear, are just like the cool ninja moves that these guys do. Some techniques are forbidden because they're too powerful, or they do really nasty things, and they're contained within these scrolls. And Mizuki misled Naruto into going and stealing one so that Naruto would be cast as a criminal, so that Mizuki could come in, save the day, get the scroll, and ultimately win in every direction. Have his cake and eat it too. The village begins hunting Naruto as a criminal for stealing this valuable knowledge, and Iruka is the one who catches him. And Iruka quickly realizes that Naruto has been manipulated into doing this, and right then, Mizuki ambushes them both. And Iruka takes like the proverbial bullet for Naruto. He takes a big giant shuriken to the back, saving Naruto. As things transpire, Naruto winds up using his newly discovered Shadow Clone Jutsu from the secret scroll to defeat Mizuki. In this one, Naruto made like 1,000 clones of himself and whooped his ass. And I mean, frankly, whenever he busted out the 1,000 clones, Mizuki just like fell on his ass. Like Naruto just jumped him on the ground, basically. He wasn't even prepared for what that was about to be. Iruka's response to all of this is to officially give him his headband and name him a ninja, which is a really big moment. The headbands are of tremendous significance to these characters and to the ninjas in general, and particularly to Naruto. So he's really, really honored and grateful that this is all going down. Things settle down and they go back to the village, and Naruto gets to take his picture so that he can be added to the official ninja registry, and he's basically in full clown makeup. He gets scolded for doing this by Lord Third, and Naruto gets frustrated with this and uses his sexy jutsu to basically defeat the Hokage with horniness, right? He shoots blood out of his nose, he falls over, which, by the way, the horny jokes I'm here for. The blood shooting out of the nose every time these guys get horny is so funny. I love how they do this shit. Not something you see in Western cartoons very much. So yeah, I love that they're in tune with their pervy comedy, man. It's a flavor that I wasn't ready for when I first started the series, but that grew on me throughout, and now upon revisitation is just supremely palatable. Now Konohamaru, who we haven't been introduced to yet at this point, sees this go down, and whenever Lord Third kind of gets back up in his chair and cleans his nose from the blood and they start to move forward again, he comes busting in the room and challenges his grandpa for the title of Hokage in Mortal Kombat. But he subsequently trips over his own feet and falls on his face. This is kind of classic Shrimpy here. He's always kind of tripping over himself, always getting in his own way, but super well intended. Shrimpy's trainer comes in and scolds Naruto and Konohamaru in like the most condescending, patronizing manner that you can possibly imagine, right? Still haven't found a way to like this guy. We're all the way through the first arc. He came in and was a dick, and that was that. Now, while he's got his chest out talking, giving this long speech, Naruto and Shrimpy just dip out. And Konohamaru demands that Naruto become his sensei so that he can learn the sexy jutsu, so that he can get the leg up on his grandpa like Naruto did, so that he can defeat him in combat and win the title of Hokage. And Naruto, agrees. And his first lesson is to explain what chakra is, but he calls it Chakra. And Konohamaru proceeds to school Naruto on what chakra is. And for everybody listening, chakra is basically the infusion of the physical energy from each cell in the body and mystical energy, and that can be channeled into jutsu. And Naruto then proceeds to train him throughout the day. Naruto gets him to practice transformation jutsu by having him transform into a woman nearby in the market. He does a terrible job, but Naruto tries to kind of coddle him and say, you did all right. And the lady who Konohamaru copied basically beats him up for comparing her to whatever monster Konohamaru had just transformed himself into, but she's very polite to Konohamaru about it. Just asks him to try better, to be more cute whenever he transforms into her moving forward. Naruto then takes Konohamaru to the magazine shop so that they can look at the Naruto universe equivalent of Victoria's Secret. And so they can see like what traditional beauty looks like in their universe, right? The shopkeep catches them and dishes out due punishment to Naruto, but Konohamaru yet again gets let off. Naruto then takes Konohamaru to the women's locker room so that Konohamaru can get a closer look at the female form, right? What female beauty looks like, so that he can transform more effectively. They transform into female versions of themselves. Naruto's probably pretty cute, but Konohamaru again is just like Shrek, right? They walk inside and the girls recognize Naruto and remark that, the same guy last week, whatever. And they beat him up and they go on about their business. And at this point, Naruto's like gotten his ass kicked 3 times today. And Konohamaru is just not even going to scratch on him. And Naruto is like questioning out loud how this is happening, and Konohamaru basically reveals that he hasn't been getting punished like Naruto because he's the grandson of the Honorable Lord Third Hokage, and he has no identity beyond that. But basically, these people give him like all these passes. And this is why he has to become Hokage, so that he can be seen and recognized as an individual. Konohamaru's trainer then shows up and tries to separate the two, and Konohamaru uses the sexy jutsu, but his trainer's unaffected. But Konohamaru does a good job using the jutsu. Naruto sees this and gets upset and busts out his shadow clone jutsu, and then has all of his clones transform using the sexy jutsu, combining the two to create our first look at the harem jutsu, which defeats the trainer. And Lord Third is watching this through a crystal ball, and he even remarks on how it's a clever play. You know, he even has to like recognize, like, man, Naruto is real clever with that. He probably would have even gotten me. It would have gotten me too. Yeah, big harem of hot blondes. Yeah, I'm done for. I'm done for, homie. I got the big horny stick. It's bad news. Can't be having that. Stay in the warehouse. At this point, Konohamaru decides that he doesn't want Naruto for a trainer anymore. He wants him for a rival. And they agree to become rivals and fight for the title of Hokage someday. And they go their separate ways. And a few days go by, and now it's a new ninja orientation. And we get to see Naruto's living quarters for the very first time. And he's all alone, living off nothing but instant ramen and milk out the jug. And the ramen he likes, but the loneliness he doesn't, right? Sakura then also leaves her house for orientation and happens to cross Ino, another Kunoichi. And these two are like true rivals, right? They compete at everything. They're always seeing who's the best. I mean, they can't even walk into the classroom without seeing who can walk into the classroom first type shit. So the rivalry and competition permeates throughout all of their interactions. In class, we get to catch glimpses of a bunch of characters who will be of significance as the series progresses, but we really only get introduced to a few of them. Shikamaru Nara comes up talking shit to Naruto about how this class is for people who actually passed from the academy. We get to meet Hinata Hyuga, who is basically Naruto's secret admirer number 1. And I love, like, the love interests, how they're aligned in this show. It's super comedic, right? Like, Hinata has a big crush on Naruto, who has a big crush on Sakura, who has a big crush on Sasuke, who's only interested in his own shit, right? So, like, nobody's winning. It's real cute. And while the kids dick off in the classroom before their sensei gets there, some of the higher-ranking ninja are in the Hokage's office watching all of this from the Hokage's crystal ball. And they talk about Sasuke's backstory a little bit. And it's here when it's first revealed that Sasuke is the sole survivor of the extremely powerful Uchiha clan that had suffered from some terrible fate, right? They haven't revealed what's going on. I'm certain it'll come up, but yeah, right now it's just like he's the sole survivor from some horrible thing that happened. In the classroom, Naruto is squatted out on Sasuke's desk, looking at him closely, trying to figure out why all the girls are fawning over him. In this moment, a boy bumps Naruto and he falls, and Sasuke and Naruto accidentally share their first kiss. And if I were Sasuke and Naruto, I'd have jumped that guy after class, but that's just me. Lunch would have went different if that was me. Iruka settles the class down, and he calls out the teams. And the teams that are shown here are Team 7, which is Naruto, the main character, Sakura, the main character's love interest, and Sasuke, the main character's love interest. Team 8 is Shikamaru Nara, who, I'm not going to spoil any beans, but he's the one who was talking shit to Naruto right off the bat. Ino Yamanaka is the fierce rival of Sakura, and her parents own a flower shop in town. And Choji Akamichi, this is the first time we've gotten to see Choji. He's chubby, he's eating chips, don't know much about him, spiky hair. Team 10, Hinata Hyuga is, again, secret admirer of Naruto number 1. Kiba Inuzuka, we don't know much about him, but he's got like the red marks under his cheeks. And Shino Aburame, we don't know nothing about him either yet, but he's got his collar popped and he's got some cool guy glasses on. The class breaks for lunch and Naruto asks Sakura to lunch, but she turns him down because she wants to go have lunch with Sasuke. Naruto then goes and whoops Sasuke's ass with his shadow clones and ties him up. And Series 1-0 Naruto, I don't know if anybody's counting, but Naruto definitely ambushed Sasuke and beat him up and tied him up, and that's a win. He then disguises himself as Sasuke to go have lunch with Sakura. He asks Sakura about himself, and she rants about how she can't stand him. And she then goes on to rant about how she loves Sasuke and goes in for a kiss. And right then, Naruto's stomach starts hurting and grumbling, and he has to run to the bathroom. He makes it to the bathroom just in time, and when he starts to go back to Sakura, he runs into Sasuke. And he goes to fight Sasuke again, but his stomach starts hurting. And he already has his shadow clones busted out, and so now all of the shadow clones are having tummy trouble, and they're all having to fight to see who can get to the toilet. Sasuke then goes on and happens across Sakura, who's thinking that he's about to give her a kiss, and he completely dismisses her and calls her annoying and leaves her high and dry. And this taste of her own medicine causes Sakura to realize that she's been being ugly to Naruto and vows to be nice to Naruto when she sees him again. And right on cue, Naruto walks up and she tries sincerely to be nice by offering to walk to class with him. And Naruto is taken aback by this after having just heard her talk all that shit about him, and assumes that the Sakura in front of him is actually Sasuke with a transformation jutsu trying to play a trick on him. And he goes to fight her, but his stomach acts up again and he has to dip off. And this effectively ruins any progress that he's made with Sakura in their relationship. It then reveals that the milk that Naruto had been drinking was expired for quite a long time, and this is what was causing all of his stomach issues all day. The team then makes its way to the classroom after lunch, and everyone has basically left with their sensei except for Team 7. Their sensei is late. So Naruto decides to play a prank by setting an eraser on the door so that it'll fall on whoever opens the door next, which their sensei falls for, causing Sasuke to doubt his abilities. And their sensei tells him that his first impression of them is that they're a bunch of idiots. And they all go to a balcony and introduce themselves, and their sensei introduces himself to Kakashi Hatake, our man Scarecrow, the copycat ninja, the man who copied 1,000 jutsu, the man of the hour, man. He's the shit. Low-key, I love me some Kakashi. Real big Kakashi fan. Yeah. I can't speak highly enough about Kakashi, and everything that's coming to my mind to say is stuff that will spoil stuff coming up, so I'm just gonna keep it moving, right? The hardest part for me sometimes is not spoiling stuff because I've seen it all and I want to talk about it, and the more the series progresses and there's less stuff that I can spoil, the more I'll be able to talk about it, and the more it'll be me jabbering and not just going through a bland review. But we got to do what we got to do now to build, right? We got to build. This is the skeleton. This is my first arc. So after Kakashi introduces himself, Naruto introduces himself and says that he loves ramen. His hobby is eating different types of ramen, and his goal is to be the strongest Hokage and to be respected by everyone. Sakura introduces herself, but when she tries to explain what she's all about, she can't say it because she's all about Sasuke. And Sasuke is sitting right there, and she's too nervous to be forthright in front of him. Sasuke explains he hates a lot of things, he doesn't particularly love anything, and his goal is to destroy a certain someone, who is later revealed to be his brother, as he's like faux dying in Naruto's arms, right? The squad then reconvenes the next morning at 5 a.m. for a survival test, and they were directed not to eat any breakfast beforehand. Kakashi shows up several hours late and tells them their mission is to take 2 bells dangling off of his side. They try their best but fail repeatedly, all while Kakashi reads a romance novel with one hand. He also catches Naruto with the 2-finger 1,000 Years of Death move. That is too funny not to mention. He goosed that man. Naruto lands in the water after the goosing and uses a diversion tactic with a shuriken attack to have several clones launch simultaneous attacks on Kakashi. And just as Kakashi goes to defend himself from the attack that his attention had been diverted from, another Naruto clone comes in from behind and like full Nelsons him, and then all the other Naruto start to dogpile him. And Kakashi uses a substitution jutsu to escape by transforming into a Naruto and then just like blending in with the crowd of Naruto clones. Naruto undoes the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and it's revealed that Kakashi has already gotten completely out of dodge, and Naruto is basically just beating himself up. Kakashi, however, lays a trap on the way out, which Naruto stumbles right into. Kakashi lectures Naruto on a ninja must see through deception, and you have to think about how you're going to use your jutsu before you do it because your enemy might be able to use it against you. So 2 big lessons there. Sasuke then attacks with shuriken and lands directly as Kakashi's given his speech, but it turns out that Kakashi that was given the speech was just a substitution jutsu. It turns into a log or whatever. Sasuke runs to hide because he knows that Kakashi's now on to him. Naruto gets out of the trap and falls immediately into another trap. Sakura runs to reunite herself with Sasuke, who happens across Kakashi, who promptly deals with her, right? She gives him no trouble. When she comes back to, she sees Sasuke on the ground all stabbed up, and she panics and passes back out, and it's revealed that she was under a genjutsu that Kakashi had did as part of the test. Kakashi and Sasuke wind up having a showdown, and Sasuke actually challenges Kakashi and literally touches one of the bells. Kakashi gets slightly more serious and catches Sasuke with a headhunter jutsu and leaves him buried to the neck in the ground. Sakura comes to and happens across Sasuke buried to the neck, and this freaks her out and she passes out again, right? I think Sakura passed out 3 times in that particular episode, so Sakura needs to maybe do some Wim Hof breathing techniques or something. I don't know, but she got to get that feigning under control. Naruto escapes the second trap, and when he does, he happens across the 2 meals that Kakashi brought for them to eat, and Naruto decides to eat so that it could prevent himself from being the one who doesn't get to eat, because only 2 of them are going to get to eat the whole time. And he's like, I ain't going to be me. And Kakashi catches him and ties him to a post. And as they all head to lunch, Sakura tries to convince Sasuke to quit because she doesn't believe she's not going to pass. And she doesn't want to be separated from Sasuke. Sasuke's like, man, I can't quit. I've got to be strong to achieve my goals, etc., etc. It's then revealed via a convo between Iruka and Lord Third Hokage that Kakashi has never passed a team before. And as Kakashi is addressing the kids at lunch, he tells them they're all getting kicked from the academy permanently for thinking like little kids instead of ninja. And the basic point of all this reduces down to teamwork is key, right? So that's the 3rd big lesson of this. Teamwork is key. He goes on to tell them they were acting individually, and they are thereby unfit to be ninja. And they all plead it's not fair. And Kakashi takes them to a memorial stone and tells them Both of his teammates are dead and their names are carved into this stone, as well as many other great ninja. He then has a moment of introspection and agrees to give them another shot, but reiterates that Naruto gets no lunch. He then leaves them, and Sasuke decides to give Naruto some food, and he reasons that if Naruto is at full strength, they'll have a better chance of succeeding. Sakura agrees with this sentiment and feeds Naruto. Kakashi busts them and tells them that they pass for prioritizing teamwork and for seeing through his deception, and they'll have their first mission tomorrow, right? So they learned the lessons. They saw through the deception, they prioritized teamwork, they pass. First team that's ever not fallen into the traps that Kakashi kept setting. Well, Naruto kept falling into the traps, but he's at least got solid teammates, right? They pulled him through. They report to the Hokage upon completion of their first mission, which was to catch a runaway cat, right? And Naruto isn't having any of this, man, because the next set of jobs are similar, right? Helping with groceries, house sitting, shit like that. And Naruto's like, man, I need serious missions so that I can earn some respect. The Hokage then explains the mission ranking hierarchy and the relationship between revenue for the village and the difficulty of the missions, and also explains the ninja ranking hierarchy. Missions are ranked S, A, B, C, D. Basically, S is ultra difficult, A is high difficulty, B is mid-high difficulty, C is mid-low difficulty, and D is low difficulty. And they've been on D-ranked missions, right? Catching the cat is a D-ranked mission. The ninja ranks are Genin, like the Squadlings, Chonin, like Iruka, Jonin, like Kakashi, and Hokage, like Saratobi. Lord Third then goes on to say he's going to let them take on a C-rank mission instead of a D-rank mission as a reward for Naruto's persistence. Everyone gets excited, and the Hokage calls the person that they're going to be bodyguarding in, and we meet Tazuna, the drunken, shit-talking master bridge builder from the Land of Waves. And he's character, man, drunk and sloppy, but to make a long story short, they are going to be his bodyguards on his journey from the village hidden in the leaves to his bridge, and they're going to protect him throughout the duration of the construction of his bridge. At this point, Team 7 sets out for their first big mission, and Naruto simply cannot contain his enthusiasm as it is his first time leaving the village. It's crazy to think that this dude's a ninja, and they're letting him, like, he's so sheltered, right? You wouldn't expect that. On the road, it's revealed that not all nations have hidden ninja villages. Only the 5 major nations have hidden villages. So there's the Land of Wind that has the village hidden in the sand that's led by the Kazekage. You have the Land of Earth with the village hidden in the stone with the Tsuchikage. You have the Land of Fire, Konoha, with the village hidden in the leaves led by the Hokage. You have the Land of Lightning with the village hidden in the clouds ran by the Reikage. And you have the Land of Water with the village hidden in the mist led by the Mizukage. The team then gets ambushed by a tandem of rogue ninja from the village hidden in the mist known as the Demon Brothers. And the Demon Brothers, with their chain weapons that shoot out of their mechanical claws, shred what they believe to be Kakashi, but it's really just a clone. They then start attacking the Squadlings, and Sasuke lands a dope, like, traditional Uchiha double kick, right? The Demon Brothers separate, and one goes for Tazuna and one goes for Naruto. Naruto freezes up in the face of his first real attack by a real enemy. And Sakura leaps in front of Tazuna. And Sasuke leaps in front of Sakura. And Kakashi clotheslines them both to save the day. Kakashi tells Naruto he's sorry that he didn't help sooner and that he didn't mean for him to get hurt, but that he didn't expect for him to just freeze up like that. And it's revealed that Naruto has like a little nick on his wrist. Kakashi then compliments Sasuke and Sakura on their job well done. Naruto at this point has like an existential crisis, and mid-crisis Sasuke calls him a fraidy cat, kicking the crisis into high gear. Kakashi tells Naruto to calm down because there's poison in the blades of the Demon Brothers' gauntlets, and that if he moves around a bunch, it's going to spread the poison faster. Sakura argues that they should go back to the village since they are now beyond the scope of the original mission. They lack the experience and the proper training, and Naruto is poisoned and needs to get proper treatment. Kakashi seems to agree, and Naruto suddenly stabs his hand to remove the poison and makes a blood oath to never back down again. Kakashi tells him this is cool, but if you lose any more blood, you're going to die. So he has to calm down. Kakashi patches up Naruto and sees his wound healing rapidly because of the Nine Tails energy in him, and this is the first time we've ever seen anything like that. They all continue down the road, and we get to meet the dude who sent out the Demon Brothers, a rogue ninja swordsman from the village hidden in the mist named Zabuza Momochi, who's under the employ of an oligarch named Gato. Zabuza agrees to go deal with Tazuna himself, and the team continues to make their way down the road to a place where they have to proceed by boat, which they do. And they come in with the motor off under the cover of the mist to make sure that they aren't seen and that they get there safely, because apparently that's like how valuable a target Tazuna is. We get to see the bridge for the first time, and it's absolutely humongous. Before they come ashore, Kakashi corners Tazuna about what's really happening. And Tazuna explains the bridge threatens the power of Gato, the powerful businessman, who ruthlessly subjugates the Land of Waves and wants Tazuna dead as a means of stopping the bridge. Tazuna successfully does his best to convince the team to continue to help him. And so now Team 7 is definitely going to help Tazuna throughout the entire duration of this still, even though it is a B-ranked mission now. Tazuna and the team make their way to Tazuna's home, but along the way, Naruto throws a kunai at a bunny that cues Kakashi off to a nearby ninja. It turns out to be Zabuza, who recognizes Kakashi on sight as the copy ninja, and recognizes that it makes sense that the Demon Brothers failed in light of this development. Zappazo attacks by throwing his huge sword like helicopter style at everybody. Everybody dodges, but the sword sticks in a nearby tree, and Zabuza lands on the hilt. Naruto tries to rush him, but Kakashi stops him. And this shows some growth out of Naruto, right? He tried to run last time, and this time he's the first one rushing in, even though the threat is greater this time. Kakashi stops him and tells him to protect the bridge builder with the other two squadlings, and Kakashi reveals his Sharingan. And we still don't know how Kakashi got his Sharingan, when the Sharingan is the bloodline trait of the Uchiha clan, and Kakashi is a Hatake, so who knows as of now. At this point, we get our first real explanation of the Sharingan, which we previously mentioned. It's a bloodline trait or a Kekkei Genkai of the Uchiha clan. Not all Uchiha get it, only some of the strongest Uchiha get it. The Sharingan additionally is a visual jutsu or Daojutsu, capable of analyzing and copying jutsu to a fine degree and a bunch more. Right, we don't know what the bunch more is, but basically at this point, it's a copy tool. At this point, we learn about bingo books. When Zabuza mentions Kakashi is in his bingo book and was listed as the man who copied 1,000 jutsu. Bingo books are basically books of ninja, their skills, alignments, the values on their heads, and who's willing to cash you out if you bring them in. Zabuza calls in his hidden mist jutsu, which creates a dense fog, making it impossible for everyone to see where Zabuza is coming from. Zabuza then lands between the squadlings and tries to take out Tazuna. Kakashi saves the day, stabbing Zabuza, but the Zabuza that Kakashi stabbed was a water clone, and Zabuza gets the drop on Kakashi. When Zabuza tries to end Kakashi, it's revealed that the Kakashi initially attacked with a water clone of his own, and it's revealed that Kakashi was able to copy Zabuza's water clone jutsu even through the thick fog with his Sharingan. The real Kakashi puts a kunai to Zabuza's throat, and it looks like the fight is over. But then the real Zabuza leaps in behind Kakashi, and the Zabuza Kakashi has the drop on, it disintegrates into a puddle of water, revealing that it was also a water clone. Zabuza swings his sword at Kakashi, who dodges, and Zabuza catches him with a kick to the chest that sends him flying into the nearby body of water. And it's wild how deep this chess match went. Zabuza attacked initially with a clone. Kakashi killed that Zabuza clone with a Kakashi clone of his own. That Kakashi clone was subsequently taken out by another Zabuza clone. That Zabuza clone was ambushed by what we can assume at this point is the real Kakashi. And then finally, the real Zabuza came in and counterattacked the real Kakashi, and that's where we're at now. Right, so there was like 3 or 4 clones involved in all that. Kakashi, because he landed in the water, winds up getting trapped in the water prison jutsu. Just being on the water gave Zabuza a slight advantage. The kids fight to free Kakashi after Tazuna agrees to prioritize freeing Kakashi over completing the mission. Naruto hatches a clever scheme to use a transformation jutsu to take the place of a second giant shuriken that travels in the shadow of a first giant shuriken that Sasuke throws during his Demon Wind Shuriken Windmill of Shadows attack. Zabuza dodges both the giant shuriken per the expectation, but the second shuriken then turns into Naruto, and Naruto throws several kunai at Zabuza, causing Zabuza to have to dodge, and he loses his grip on the water prison jutsu, freeing Kakashi. Kakashi and Zabuza then have their proper fight while standing on the water. Kakashi matches his jutsu perfectly. They both create water dragons that cancel each other out, which is really dope. This is like our first real look at some type of badass jutsu, right? They made water dragons, and upon first time seeing this, I was pretty damn mind blown, but it ramps up way up from there, guys. Like, if you think a water dragon's cool, my goodness, just wait till what you're gonna see in the upcoming episodes. Kakashi then fucks with Zabuza's head. He finishes Zabuza's sentences a couple of times, but they are sentences of internal dialogue, so this blows Zabuza's mind. He also responds aloud to a question that Zabuza is asking himself internally. Kakashi then blasts Zabuza with a water vortex jutsu before Zabuza can even get his own off, right? So Kakashi is copying Zabuza, and he's able to get a jutsu that he's copying off faster than the guy that he's copying, which is pretty wild to think. And it completely blows Zabuza's mind. And it blew my mind, right? How are you copying something before it even happens? The water vortex winds up running Zabuza through the spin cycle and slamming him against a tree, and Kakashi pins him there with several kunai. And at this point, Haku throws a couple Senbon in that pierces Zabuza's neck, that puts Zabuza in a temporary death-like state, and Haku presents himself as a tracker ninja from the village hidden in the mist. This fools Team 7 for a while, and Haku makes off with a compromised Zabuza. Naruto melts down, realizing how low he is on the ninja hierarchy. He felt as though he stood no chance against Zabuza, and yet a kid his age came in and took out Zabuza with one move. Kakashi calms him down, tells him save his anger for the opponents, and they get on the road, and Kakashi passes out from overusing his chakra with the Sharingan. The squad gets Kakashi to Tazana's house, where Kakashi is recovering. While he's recovering, he pieces together that Zabuza is still alive and decides to put the squad through emergency last-minute chakra control training in the form of having them climb trees by sticking to them with chakra in their feet in order to help them get an edge with Zabuza, to help them have an edge when Zabuza comes back. Now, this is helpful because controlling your chakra is done by balancing the two primary forms of energy that make it up, the physical cellular energy and the mystical energy, and having balanced chakra allows for more effective jutsu. Kakashi also explains the basic types of chakra are earth, wind, fire, water, and lightning, corresponding with the names of the lands of the world as well. At this point, we get to meet Inari, Tazana's grandson, and Tsunami, Tazana's daughter. Tsunami is like a very sweet homemaker type, and Inari is not here for the heroics. Inari has been clearly traumatized by losing his father figure Kaiza after he was murdered for standing up to Gato. Squad 7 makes it to their training ground, and Kakashi sets them to work. Naruto sucks and falls. Sasuke overdoes it, but does better than Naruto. This is all per the expectation of Kakashi, but Sakura actually exceeds expectations and has no problems. It's a breeze for her, goes all the way to the top of the tree. So Sakura clearly has the best chakra control out of the team, but Kakashi then reveals that Naruto has even more chakra than himself, right? So Naruto is like a chakra monster. Naruto winds up sucking it up for quite a while and decides to ask Sakura for help. Kakashi notes this willingness to seek out help as a big moment of growth for Naruto. While this is all transpiring, Haku and Zabuza make it back to their hideout, and at this point, Gato and his two primary thugs, Old Gray Hair and Old Eye Patch, confront them about their shortcomings in the mission. Gato disrespects Zabuza, and Haku grabs Gato by the arm and almost breaks his arm, and then disarms both of his thugs with lightning speed. At this point, Gato agrees to give Zabuza one more shot and leaves. The squad continues their training, and Naruto keeps overtraining, right? He gets out early, skips breakfast, works himself into exhaustion to the point that he has to take a nap on the ground in the woods. And at this point, Haku actually stumbles across him. And Haku decides to play it cool and just have a conversation with Naruto instead of killing him, right? And Naruto doesn't realize that this is Haku and even mistakes Haku for a girl. They have an interesting conversation where the primary conclusion is that having someone you cherish and protecting that person makes you the strongest. When that person is in danger, you can do extraordinary stuff. Moms who rip car doors off the hinges when their babies are trapped in them and stuff. There's something to it. Sasuke and Naruto conclude their chakra balance training by getting all the way to the tops of their trees. They come back to dinner, where Inari tells the squad that their training is pointless, and Naruto calls him a coward. This crushes Inari, and Naruto just leaves, doesn't even address it at that point. Kakashi sits next to Inari, who's sitting out on the dock, looking out, on the water, reflecting the moonlight, and helps Inari empathize with Naruto and helps Inari realize that Naruto is squad. The squad leaves Naruto to rest the next morning because he's been overworking himself and that he needs to rest, and they go on to go with their typical daily routine. Zabuza and Haku ambush the squad out on the bridge while Naruto is sleeping. Naruto wakes up and rushes to catch up with the squad, unaware of the ambush. Gato's two primary thugs, Old Gray Hair and Old Eye Patch, arrive outside of Tazuna's house while it's only Tsunami and Inari there. They take Tsunami hostage, and Inari finds his courage and rushes the thugs. While they're distracted by Inari rushing in, Naruto saves the day with his shadow clones. Naruto was able to be at the right place at the right time because he saw where Gato's thugs had killed a pig and where they had been slashing up trees practicing their swordsmanship along their route to Tazuna. He was also able to save the day because Inari distracted them by being brave. Naruto leaves Inari in charge and rushes off to the bridge. Zabuza surrounds the remainder of Team 7 with water clones, and Sasuke slays them all. And so Zabuza finds out that Sasuke is an Uchiha and basically acknowledges that it makes sense that he was able to whip those shadow clones' asses. Also, it's revealed that those shadow clones were like 1/10 the strength of Zabuza's typical water clones. So I don't know if it was like 1/10 because he made 10 at a time, and you can only put so much chakra into a clone jutsu, and it just gets devised into however many clones you make, or if it's like a variable thing that you can control. They haven't gone into like real detail, but I know at this point you can conclude that there's a varying degree of strength in clones coming from the same caster, right? So you never know, right? It might be a weak clone, it might be a strong clone, and it's going to depend on variables that aren't entirely understood by us currently. We find ourselves in a situation where there's a one-on-one fight between Sasuke and Haku playing out. Sasuke seems to have the upper hand, but winds up trapped in Haku's secret Crystal Ice Mirror Jutsu Kekkei Genkai move, which basically puts a dome of mirrors around Sasuke, and in each of the mirrors is a reflection of Haku. This enables Haku to simultaneously attack the person trapped within the dome from range and from every direction that there's a mirror facing kind of simultaneously, right? It's really, really difficult to deal with, which Haku does, leaving Sasuke effectively turtled up, getting hit by Senbon, the thrown ninja needles, at an overwhelming rate. Kakashi tries to intervene, but Zabuza stops him. Sakura tries to throw a kunai, but Haku catches it midair and actually leans out of the mirror to catch it. When he does this, the attacks within the dome stop. Naruto comes in at the last minute to level the playing field by hitting Haku with a sneak attack, knocking him completely out of the mirror and putting a big gouge in his mask. In an attempt to save Sasuke, Naruto winds up trapped in the Crystal Ice Mirror Dome Jutsu alongside him. It shows us that Haku was saved from homelessness and potential death by Zabuza, so now he lives to make Zabuza's dreams a reality. It's revealed that Haku's basically been trying to beat them into submission instead of killing them, which makes sense, right? Haku has the capacity to land like a strike from range on a target that can put him in a temporary death state. You think he could put a Senbon in their heart if he wanted to, right? So makes sense that he wasn't necessarily trying to kill him, considering that he wasn't killing him when it seemed like he had every ability to. But these boys aren't going to submit, so he is going to have to kill them eventually, or they're going to get out, one of the two. While Naruto and Sasuke deal with Haku and Sakura protects Tazuna, Zabuza calls in his hidden mist jutsu once again to negate Kakashi's Sharingan. Zabuza then tries to attack the bridge builder, but Kakashi successfully defends Tazuna. Sasuke figures out how to stop Haku just by watching intently and having elevated capabilities as an Uchiha. Sasuke at that point then awakens his Sharingan, which is a huge deal. He's only got one Tomoe in one eye and two Tomoe in the other eye, whereas Kakashi has three Tomoe. And also it was mentioned as being an incomplete Sharingan, right? So there are levels to the Sharingan, right? And at this point, I think it's fair to say that the level of completion in your Sharingan is related to the number of tomoe that are surrounding the inner ring of the Sharingan pattern. But immediately after that, Sasuke is forced into a situation where he has to sacrifice himself to save Naruto, which he does. Haku hits him with several shots that incapacitate Sasuke to the point that everyone believes him to be dead, right? And he didn't kill him on purpose, right? If it was like he hit him with shots that was going to put him down and make it to where he couldn't fight for an extended period of time and have it looking like he was dead in quite the same way as what he did to Zappazo, so that he could win the fight and preserve him being alive. He really didn't want to kill these guys, really, really desperately. But the emotional trauma that Naruto experiences when Sasuke goes limp in his arms awakens the nine-tailed chakra within him. It comes leaking out, the seal just can't hold it anymore. The chakra is visible to the naked eye, and it forms a giant red fox head above Naruto and then swirls into the sky. Naruto underwent a slight transformation. His eyes became red with vertical slit pupils. His hands grew larger and grew claws. The lines in his face became much more prominent, almost whisker-esque, and he generally took on the physical attributes of the nine-tailed fox chakra that's compelling him. He then attacks Haku successfully, destroying the ice mirror dome with his fists and knocking the lights out of Haku. Haku then pleads for Naruto to kill him because he has no use or purpose anymore. Basically, in his mind, he's a tool for Zabuza, and with this defeat, his usefulness has been removed, like a blunted blade of no use to an effective swordsman. While this is happening, Kakashi is in the mist, and he pulls out a scroll from a pouch in his vest. He unrolls the scroll and swipes blood on his thumb from the gouge that Zabuza gave him earlier in the fight, and he swipes that blood horizontally across the scroll, and he then casts several hand signs and slams the scroll on the ground and summons several ninja hounds, who ambush Zabuza out in the mist because they can smell him. Kakashi has Zabuza held down by his dogs and lets Zabuza know this is the end of the road for him. He also reveals that he let Zabuza cut him earlier so that he'd be able to have the dogs track him by the scent of the blood on his blade. So again, chess matches being played that you don't even know about, man. I mean, Kakashi let himself get cut so that his dogs would be able to track him down in the mist. That's Zabuza's playing checkers and Kakashi's playing chess. It's pretty cool. Kakashi basically, again, tells him that it's all over for him. And while these two's fights play out, we get our deepest dive into Haku and Zabuza's backstories, which I'll finally address, right? Because they'd kind of given us snippets throughout, but I didn't really want to go bit by bit. I kind of wanted to get to the point where it was all revealed and then revealed all at once, because it kind of made more coherent sense to me in that way. So forgive me if you don't like how it all panned out. But Haku grew up in the Land of Waves immediately following an age of civil war, and during that war, the clans that possessed Kekkei Genkai were basically used as instruments of war. And when the war finished, the people who remained resented the Kekkei Genkai possessing clans of the Land of Water because of the pain they had inflicted as instruments of war during the civil wars previous. Haku's mother, aware of this, hid her abilities, met Haku's dad, had Haku, and lived a normal life, until Haku discovered his bloodline trait in front of his father, which prompted his father to gather a mob, and the mob comes to Haku's house, Haku's father chief among them, and kill Haku's mom with a club. They go to kill Haku, but he defends himself with his Kekkei Genkai and kills all of his attackers. With his mother and father both dead, Haku struggles to find purpose and winds up homeless. Zabuza happens across Haku on a bridge and offers to take him in, saving him from suffering of homelessness and ultimately a beggar's death, freezing to death in the cold, in exchange for basically slavery, to bend to Zabuza's will in all things at all times. Haku finds purpose in this. Being a weapon on Zabuza's hip was better than nothing. Zabuza disowned the village hidden in the mist and swore to take the village over. He attempted to assassinate the Mizukage, the leader of the village hidden in the mist, but failed. Although he did avoid being detained, right? It was basically a coup d'etat. He was trying to take over the village. So imagine if someone came into the village hidden in the leaves, almost killed the Hokage, and then the entire village wasn't even able to stop him from getting that close, and they weren't able to stop him from getting out, and they weren't able to track him down after he escaped. So you just have this imminent threat existing outside of the village who wants to kill the leader of the village at all times, right? That's Zabuza to the village hidden in the mist. Now, while all this backstory is being divulged, right, Inari is running around town trying to gather a horde to fight along Team 7, but it's falling on deaf ears. But the people ultimately rally behind Inari in the end. Haku, back on the bridge, Haku convinces Naruto to kill him, but changes his mind and escapes Naruto at the last second, only to sacrifice himself to save Zabuza by leaping in front of Kakashi's personally developed lightning blade jutsu. So a lot happened there. The lightning blade jutsu is a badass jutsu. It's like Kakashi's literally holding a ball of lightning. You can see it, and it's crackling and whistling and making all kinds of neat noises and looking cool on the screen. And Haku was really about that protecting Zabuza life. Literally took the lightning blade to the heart to save Zabuza. And Zabuza shows literally no remorse and tries to kill Kakashi by slashing through Haku. But luckily, Kakashi dodges and manages to keep Haku's corpse from being dismembered. Sakura at this point learns of Sasuke's apparent death and loses her composure and cries uncontrollably over Sasuke's corpse, even though it's against the 25th tenet of ninja conduct or whatever. Kakashi and Zabuza continue their fight, but Kakashi clearly has the upper hand now that the mist is gone. He disables both of Zabuza's arm by stabbing them with kunai while counterattacking Zabuza's big cumbersome sword attacks. Just as Kakashi's going to end the fight, Gato and a horde of thugs show up. Gato lets Zabuza know that he's been taken off the payroll and this horde is here to kill him. But if Zabuza could please kill a few of them before he dies, that'd be perfect because he doesn't want to pay all of them. Zabuza lets Kakashi know he doesn't intend on stopping the bridge builder anymore, so their fight is over and Kakashi agrees. Naruto doesn't agree though. Dude is the reason why Sasuke's down right now and is enemy number 1. Gato then walks up and disrespectfully kicks Haku's corpse, talking a bunch of shit. And Naruto just cannot handle this, right? And he goes to smash Gato, but Kakashi stops him and tells him to use his head. Naruto hits Zabuza with the first ever Talk No Jutsu, laying into him for viewing Haku as a tool and makes Zabuza cry. And Zabuza admits Naruto's words cut deeper than any wound. And it turns out that Zabuza really loved Haku and was playing the tough guy. You know, as a shinobi, you can't show your emotions, etc., etc. But Haku was Zabuza's dude. Don't make any mistake about that. He then charges the crowd, and Gato rushes through the crowd and finds himself at the end of the construction of the bridge with nowhere to go. Zabuza comes rushing through the crowd and gets stabbed several times in the back, but kills everyone in his path, and kills Gato, sending his body plunging into the water below, right? And my dude Zabuza, what an arc, right? From the nastiest, worst character to having love for Haku to taking out Gato for nothing other than disrespecting Haku's corpse. Put some respect on Haku's name in front of Zappazo, and put some respect on Zappazo's name when you're in front of me, because that's gangster. I'm here for that. I am here for that Zappazo action. He looks up at the crowd, and like they all back off. They don't want no part of that Zappazo life at that point. And Zappazo starts walking towards Haku, but he collapses, right? The mob of thugs then direct their attention to the village because they have to get laid. They have to get paid somehow. Damn, I mean, they might get laid, but they have to get paid somehow, and Gato ain't cutting no more checks. And just as it starts to look really bad for Team 7, Inari and the townsfolk show up for them and defend themselves and stop the mob in their tracks, right? Naruto and Kakashi both bust out Shadow Clone Jutsu, and now the crowd of townspeople and Shadow Clones easily triples the size of the mob of thugs in its size. This makes the thugs just piss down their legs. They all dip out, making a hasty escape, like clinging to their ship for dear life as it pulls off. Kakashi goes over to Zappazo, who's still alive, right, clinging on. And Zappazo asks Kakashi to lay him next to Haku, which Kakashi obliges. He pulls all the swords and pikes and spears out of Zappazo, and he lays Zappazo next to Haku. And Zappazo's last breath is spent alongside Haku, touching his face. And in this moment, it like uncharacteristically snows, and Zappazo thinks to himself, this must be Haku weeping. And all the townsfolk remark on how it's impossible for it to be snowing at this time of year where they're at. And a single column of light bursts through the dense clouds and illuminates Zappazo and Haku as he passes. And Kakashi even remarks, hell, who knows, Zappazo, maybe you made it to where Haku went, not to where Gato went. You never know. Moment of silence complete, man. They're really gone, and at this point, Team 7 gives Zappazo and Haku a proper burial in a spot that overlooks the village. And they stick Zappazo's big blade in the ground between the two graves to designate where the spot is. They then link up with everyone for a final goodbye at the freshly completed bridge, and they're seen off by all the major figures of the village. Naruto and Inari share a special moment, and Naruto promises to visit in the future. Tazuna names the bridge the Great Naruto Bridge in commemoration of Naruto and his efforts that he put in to save the village and to help Inari. Squad 7 leaves the Land of Waves on the bridge that they helped protect, and all is right in the Land of Waves, and that's a wrap on our first arc of Naruto. And guys, thank you all so much for sticking with me through this. This has been so much fun revisiting Naruto, and I hope that I'm providing some type of benefit. I'm adding to the experience for you in some type of way. I know I'm certainly at least having a lot of fun with it. So much went down in this arc. So much, right? From just learning about the nine-tailed fox attack that set all this in motion to learning about Naruto, right? Getting to see that he's like an orphan who lives alone, who's a habitual prankster, to the formation of Team 7, right? Getting introduced to Sakura and Sasuke, who are like the guys who pulled Naruto through the final test. They're such solid squadlings, and they have such a neat, fun chemistry. I can't get enough of it. The love triangle makes things awkward. The pervy comedy I can't get enough of. Man, pervy comedy is not something that we get enough of in cartoons, and I love how the Japanese cartoons find a way to work pervy comedy into what they're doing. What else did we learn that was of significance? We got to learn about chakra, how it's a balanced combination of physical energy from each cell in the body and mystical energy that's channeled into using jutsu. And jutsu is basically like the fancy ninja moves these guys do. And there's 3 types of jutsu, right? There's ninjutsu, taijutsu, and genjutsu. Ninjutsu is like the water dragon jutsu or the water vortex jutsu or the clone jutsus. those are all ninjutsu, right? Genjutsu is mind control, right? It's what Kakashi did to Sakura whenever she saw Sasuke all stabbed up and it freaked her out, right? That was a mind control genjutsu that he did. And taijutsu is fisticuffs, right? We're actually kicking and punching at that range. There's 5 types of chakra, right, that align with the names of the lands, and on that we got introduced to all the different lands, right? There's the land of fire with the village hidden in the leaves nestled within it, ran by the Hokage. There's the village hidden in the mist, nestled within the land of water, ran by the Mizukage. There's the village hidden in the stone, nestled within the land of earth, ran by the Tsuchikage. There is 2 more, right? There's, hell, I can't remember which ones I said at this point. It's Hokage, Tsuchikage. I can't remember the 3. Give me just a second and I'll pull this up because I'm not about to wrap this up without having this completed. Yeah, so there's the land of wind with the village hidden in the sand with the Kazekage was the one that I was missing. And then there's the land of lightning with the village hidden in the clouds ran by the Reikage. Right, so just to wrap that up real quick, it's the land of wind with the village hidden in the sand ran by the Kazekage. There's the land of earth with the village hidden in the stone ran by the Tsuchikage. There's the land of fire with the village hidden in the leaves ran by the Hokage. There's the land of lightning with the village hidden in the clouds ran by the Reikage. And there's the land of water with the village hidden in the mist run by the Mizukage. My God, guys, I almost ruined that. I almost had to start the recording over. I was going to sit there and fumble on that for 10 minutes. But at any rate, man, there's so much cool stuff that went down. We got to meet Shrimpy, Konohamaru. We got to meet Iruka. Iruka's my dude. We got to learn about the kind of weird social dynamic that goes on with Naruto and the rest of the village, and the lengths that they've gone to kind of try and protect the village and Naruto, considering the super dangerous thing that we have living inside of him. Sasuke awakened his Sharingan, which is super cool. He only has 3 Tomoe in total, right? He has 2 Tomoe in one eye and 1 Tomoe in the other, whereas Kakashi has 3 in one eye, right? So clearly there's room to develop the Sharingan. We got to learn about Kekkei Genkai in general, right? We got to learn that there's obviously the 5 primary forms of chakra, right? But there are special clans that have special abilities that fall outside of that, and people who have the special ability to combine certain elements of those, right? And we got to see a lot of personal growth out of a lot of people, right? We went from Sasuke being so scared during the first encounter with Zabuza that he was considering killing himself, to him sacrificing himself to save Naruto. And we went from Naruto being scared and terrified and running away from the Demon Brothers to him charging in head first at Zabuza, right? We got to see a lot of Kakashi, right? But he's real chill. We got to see his Sharingan for the first time. I'm super curious what's going on with his Sharingan, how he has one when he's not in Uchiha. Shout out Sakura, man. Everybody acts like Sakura ain't shit, man. But Sakura, low-key, that whole arc did nothing but protect Tazuna the way she was supposed to. And so she's a goon for that. But at any rate, guys, I could rant for an hour on this. I feel as though I've pretty well touched on the things that I thought were important throughout the arc. I'm certain at some point people will start listening to this and they'll let me know what I missed in the comments and we'll get to talk about it. But at any rate, guys, this is the first super special episode that we've done. I'll also wind up covering the movies. I will not be covering any novels, but I will wind up covering the movies at some point, and I will be doing specials like this for arcs, and I may consider doing specials like this for seasons. It'd be really hard for me to compress an entire 100 episodes into something that's reasonable and short for you to listen to without it just disintegrating your attention span and your brain. But we'll see, right? For sure the movies, for sure the arcs, for sure every episode all the way through Boruto. And so with that, I'll put a bow on this super special episode. Again, I'm Joshua. I'm your Konoha companion. Thank you so much for tuning into this special episode today. And we will kick off the next arc, the tuning exams, in a few days. Keep an eye out. I'll get the episode pumped out. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Like, share, follow, subscribe, whatever it is, find a way to support. Participate in the comments, be friendly. The whole point of this is so that we can all be friends. And again, I'm Joshua. I'm your Konoha companion. And thank you also so much for tuning in. I'll catch you next time.